Hi. All right. Welcome to my podcast channel. So, I thought um I don't want my channel to all be negative to you, and also I want you guys to get to know me a little bit. So, I got powder on my shirt. Didn't see it till the camera turned on. Shirt's kind of see through. Oops. So, anyways, um, I wanted to do a podcast where you can kind of get to know a little bit about me, my family, and kind of where I stem from a little bit. Like, I always grew up knowing that we came from Mormon pioneer, LDS pioneers. My great grandmother was born in Prescott, Arizona, but I didn't know the stories. I knew that I just knew I was told. And then decades go by. I'm on my second marriage, have my kids, blah, blah, blah. And my mom stumbles into some of the family that through my grandmother's. So, my grandmother, my dad's mom, married outside of her religion and fell away from the church. But her sister did not. And her sister, as soon as she got into her old age, settled, and her husband passed away. She settled here in Utah because she's from California. And sorry, I thought maybe the cat was locked in here with me. Let's see. So, through her, my mom got to know the pioneer side of the family because she keeps in touch with the pioneer side. There's the side of the family that is very religious. They're still LDS, and then there's a side of the family that is not. And my family kind of floats in there. We're probably the type you'd call like Jack Mormons and stuff or something. Um, my dad passed away a couple of years ago, and he was living with me up until a month before he passed away. And so all his stuff was in my house when he passed away because he didn't take anything with him except for like a duffel bag of clothes and a couple small things. And this book got left in my possession, which is the only one in the family so far. I don't know if my mom could get a copy or not. I asked my mom last week, I said, "Do you know where the copy is?" I asked her if she had a copy, and she kind of stuttered, like, and she started thinking about how, because my mom's remarried. She divorced my dad like 7 years ago. So for the last 5 years of my dad's life, he was divorced from my mom. And my mom got remarried a month before he passed away. And, or like 2 months, like, like a couple months before he passed away. A month and a half, like not very far before he passed away. And so that's why he was living with me, and his possessions were in my house when he passed away. And I didn't know this was the only copy. And see, it's like I don't know if I want to show the name on the book. Anyways, so this is in my possession. So I told my mom, I said, "Don't worry, I have Dad's copy." And she says, "Well, that's the only copy, Rose." And I said, "Oh, okay. I guess I got the only copy." So I don't know if she can go to like somewhere and buy this, or go to that side of the family and say, "Hey, you guys got another copy I can get?" So it's interesting because as I drive down the city that I live in here in Utah, there's a town that's renamed, but its old name was named after my ancestors, and there is a street still under their name, and it's a main road that leads into this town. And it's kind of neat. Every time I drive past it, I'm like, in my mind, it's like, yeah, it's like. And also, apparently, not too far from where I live is an abandoned mini town. People have done videos on this. So, I just found out about this two weeks ago. There's 23 abandoned buildings. I'm charging my burrito camera, so maybe either I can go live on my phone, but my phone isn't or I can take my burrito camera. Supposedly haunted. There's 23 abandoned buildings. So I don't know if my ancestors helped build these, or because where these buildings sit is like 5 miles down from the road that's named after my great 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 grandfather. So I know they lived around 5 miles out from these mills and stores and stuff. So I don't know if they ran any of them or frequented them. I would like to go see this. They're called the Benson Mills also because Ezra Taft Benson's relatives ran these mills. So I'm gonna have to go down there, and then I need to figure out how to upload videos onto my computer again. I have not done pre-records in like 10 years. So I forgot what it's like to do pre-records. But I found a charger this morning for my burrito camera. So my burrito camera is back there charging. So my burrito camera is charging. And so it's kind of because this does, in a little way, affect my beliefs and faith. Because I grew up loving my great grandma. Sweet old woman. She played the violin. She crocheted things. She lost her vision except for her peripherals, and she was hard of hearing towards her. She died, I think, at the age of 94. Her mom was like 96. Like, we have longevity in my family. And I always adored my grandma, my great grandma. My grandmother, her daughter, my grandmother, abandoned my dad when he was born. And she and her other son and stuff raised my dad. So my dad, that's the only reason why he's still LDS, where his siblings are, only one of his siblings are him, and his sister are, because they were raised by their grandmother instead of their mother, and the 3 children that were raised by their mother are not LDS. And so my dad has a total of 5 siblings. There's 6 children. My dad is 5. Yeah, 5 of 6. 5 of 6. But number 3 passed away at 3 weeks old. And so the next 2 got given away. And then she kept the last one, the first 2, and the last one. So my grandmother kept the first 2 and the last one and gave the 2 middle ones away because she was so scared after. And so she was so scared. And I understand, you get scared. And so yeah, I'm stuttering here. And it was hard on her, but it's hard because that kind of, if that hadn't happened, I don't even know if we would be part of the church or not. And my mom might have never married my dad because my mom's a convert because of my dad. And so, let's see, I can turn to the page of my family kind of and show some pictures of them. But if you go to a certain page in here, it gets to my family eventually and has a picture of my great grandmother. I think it's right-ish here, I think. I thought it was just before page Maybe it's just before page 300. I might have to look it up again in the. I might have to look it up again in the. I have to look up their last name again in the glossary. Um, okay, 89. Keep thinking. Yeah, my grandma was born in 1898, 2 years before the 1900s. She lived, and she died in 1992. She lived a very long life. So this is my family section of, this is, so my great grandmother that I'm talking about, this is her father. This is my great great grandfather, great great grandmother. So the people that wrote this book were related to them by her. So it's her line that his, so her line is the one that converted way back in New York, and they lived in Nauvoo with Joseph Smith. So there is a little bit of tiny bit of story in here of like Joseph Smith's um, um, of our conversion, how we got converted to the Mormon church, and then their bodies and stuff being brought back. And so one of the things that's interesting is not only 276, do I hear pioneer stories, but they're my family. So so when you think of the pioneers, you think, wow, they did all of this for the Lord, for the church, for everything. But then all this writing, this is your family that did it. These are your family's words. And so, see, he was born in 1845 in Nauvoo. So the one I showed you, let's see, so the one I showed you that our line goes through her, it's her father was born in Nauvoo. So I'll show you. Okay, so yeah, so her father was born in Nauvoo. He's the one who came over with Brigham. So he was born in 1845, a year after the prophet had passed away. So I'm trying to think. I've tried to map out my family line a little bit, but I'm trying to find the page. I didn't bookmark any of these, and I should have, because now here I am just kind of fumbling through it. Okay. And so it's kind of funny in church history when I hear, like, I was listening to the Brigham Young, teachings of Brigham Young last night, because I'm going through all the teachings of the prophets. And they talked about how they talked to Jim Bridger, and then they come into the Salt Lake Valley. They come through City Creek. And they're the first three people to come through City Creek is Brigham Young and Erastus Snow. Erastus Snow is the one who converted my family. So every time I hear his name, it's kind of cool, because so the family that he converted, they named their first child Orville Erastus Snow. After, so Erastus Snow, he converted my family when they were living back in New York. And then the guy he converted became Erastus Snow's mission companion. And so when they had their first child in, they named him after so yeah, they named him after, I think it's, I'm trying to look for where my family story starts. And so it's kind of cool because there's a little bit of story. I mean, our family is huge, and so there's everybody's family stories are in here, and so I have to find the right one that's mine. And so, how my family is actually from Arizona is because they came to Utah with the pioneers, and they settled right here in this lovely little town that I'm in, and they built this town. And then Brigham Young called them to the dairy in Flagstaff. And so they went down to Flagstaff. And thus my dad was born in Prescott, and so was all his family. And so they were born in Prescott. I'm trying to think of what is. It's like I got to trace her family line of who is her father. She was born in Fountain Green, Utah. And my great great grandfather, so he was born in Joliet, Illinois in 1868. So a little while. My family, I think, might have left a little after Brigham Young. They didn't immediately. And in 1943, he died in Prescott. And so he lived a very long life because he was born in 1868. So he lived to be in his 80s. And so, yeah, when I think about not only did the pioneers do all this, and not for nothing, my family did this for, they didn't, they didn't do all this for nothing. They didn't. And so I like to look over this. Oh, there's the name Rose back there. Just kidding. Rose is not a popular LDS name. That's not where I get my name. I get it from my mom's side of the family, where it is highly popular. Don't know if we're ready to get into that side of the family yet. That is a totally different side. Trying to think, where is the stories from Nauvoo? Because I'm seeing people born in Utah. The rest is Snow Wakefield, the first child of John and Susanna, was born in Providence, Bedford County, Pennsylvania, 29th of June, 1839. So Erastus Snow, okay, so they just named him Erastus Snow. I guess his son is Orville Erastus Snow. So, yeah, see, they have all the pedigree charts and everything, and I come down one of them. And so Erastus Snow becomes a family name after this. It says he was named after his parents' good friend and John's former missionary companion, Erastus Snow. Erastus was only 4 months old when his parents left Providence and joined the Saints in Nauvoo. So we joined the Saints in Nauvoo in late 1839. Erastus lived in Nauvoo with his parents until the Exodus of 1846. Though he was only 7 years old at the time of the Exodus, He knew and remembered the prophet and his brother Hiram, who were unalive 2 years earlier. Erastus accompanied his parents into Iowa, where he grew to manhood. So see, they went to Iowa. They made it to Iowa, and then they stopped for like a couple decades before continuing out west. He was a great help to his father, who had acquired a farm near Council Bluffs. Due to Illinois, his father was not able to do many tasks required. Upon the death of his father, many of the responsibilities of the family fell upon his shoulders at the age of 14. He was of no doubt much comfort and assistance to his widowed mother. People talk about people don't know what it's like to, like, people get down on polygamy and stuff and whatnot, and you don't know what it's like to live in this time frame where death is a normal occurrence. You lose a parent, a child, a sibling. And so I was watching a video this morning, kind of getting down on polygamy and stuff. And I thought it, and everybody wants to do the great polygamy debate. Did it happen? Did it not happen? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it wrong? Is it right? Um, Here, this talks about Erastus was 14 when he became a man, and then took over the family for his deceased father. Nowadays, we'd be like, "Oh, that's too young. Like, how can you do that at 14? You got 4 more years till you're 18 still." These were different times. Erastus and Thomas were experts in breaking and training of oxen, and broke most of them for others in the valley. They also made most of the oxen yokes in the area. So, yay. Hey, look, I'm related to a potter. Just kidding. Are they related to Harry? Just kidding. And so, yeah, so this is their little pioneer picture. It's kind of fun to have these pioneer pictures. And then I'm trying to figure out, okay, what child did I come from these guys? Because it's like, where does the family line go after this? Okay, so they had no children. So Erastus Snow goes on to have no children. He gets married but has no children. But there is a small story about him. And then so Erastus Snow's brother over here, this is the guy who wrote this book. His name is on the cover. So that's him on the cover. Yeah, this book stops at my dad. It goes to this is my grandma. This is my great grandma that I told you lived to be into 1992. She's the first one born in Arizona when the pioneers went down to the dairy. And this is my grandmother and her brother. And this brother is the one who raised my dad. And so these two raised my dad, and she's the one who gave him up. You can the pictures are so it's like hard to see. And so this is where the book stops at my dad and his siblings right here. This is the pedigree for them. But it doesn't have my dad getting married, having children, and his death date or anything. So the book was written while he was still alive and everything. And so, and then this is his aunt, my grandma's sister, the one who stays in touch with this family that wrote the book. So there's my name. So, and what's in, so let's see if we can go back to Nauvoo. So we have the story of Okay. This is the family in Utah leaving Council Bluff. They left in 1855, May 15th of 1855, in company of Captain John Hindley with 206 saints and 46 wagons. They arrived in Springville in September of 1855, so May, June, July, August, September. So it took them 4 months to get from Iowa to Utah with 206 saints and 46 wagons. I remember that winter that at one time we all, except the two youngest, went without bread for 4 days. We had only a few potatoes that mother had gotten from the tithing office and flour, just enough to make some gravy without any grease shortening. She got that a little bran for the two youngest from the neighbors. I do not know how we lived at all, but the Lord knows. And I do not know or remember of any of us being sick that winter. We were blessed with health, all of us. So, and so it's like when I read this kind of stuff, I think, wow, like the faith they had through their trials, how great it must have been. And so, yeah, I'm trying to remember the family line I come through. I'm trying to find their name. Okay, there's that. Okay, there we go. So there's that. We come through. Okay, so we do come through the guy who wrote the book. Well, that's his son. Okay, so this is his son, and then this is the guy who wrote the book. This is they're doing their line, and I come over here second. So he was a polygamist. So I do come from a polygamist, by the way. So my mom got it wrong who was the polygamist, though, because by reading this book, I found out who the real polygamist was. So it wasn't the one she thought it was. No, they actually had a great, wonderful marriage, and he never took on additional wives. And so this guy, his second wife, we come from the second wife, and um, yeah, right here, this one, and then let's see. Hold on, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to trace my line. So there's him, and then okay. There's that one. Okay, those two right there. Those two. Okay. This is weird how it is because I think husbands and wives are listed next to each other, not like a standard pedigree chart. So there's him, and then his father, and then he's him. So there's so this is oh no, this is him. And this okay. These two are married, I think, and this is their children, maybe, because that's the one who married my great great grandfather. So this is my great great grandmother. So great 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 great. So yeah, there we go. We're like 5 greats back. They were in Nauvoo. And so I need to look for. I think it is. I think I know who I'm looking for to find their story, where they talk about Joseph Smith. Hmm. What the hey? Where's that last name in there? It should be right in here. I'm looking maybe yeah, I'm not okay. Alphabetical. Okay, there we go. Okay, page 17. I knew it was kind of towards the beginning. Okay, page 17 is okay where we get my family. Okay, so here we go. There's him. There's his wife, and then okay. So the stories should be right here. Let's see. So in 1837, Erastus Snow left Kirkland for the purpose of visiting churches in the East. The Diary of Erastus Snow highlights his work in Indiana County, often mentioning the name, which is the person on this book. He converted that person. So. Okay. I want to find the part where they talk about truth will prevail. In her dream, she heard a voice say, "These are true messengers of God. Hear and obey." This dream disturbed the family considerably. Then, about a week later, so in a very real dream by the mother, two strangers had come to visit the family. Over their heads was a large motto bearing the words, "Truth will prevail," which is kind of funny because that Oliver Cowdery and stuff, they went to England and they get off the train and they see this window that says "Truth will prevail," and in true LDS fashion, they're like, yeah, even though it didn't pertain to our church, it still pertained. These are true messengers of God. Herein, this dream disturbed the family considerably. Then, about a week later, two Mormon missionaries came to their home. "These are the two men I saw in my dream," cried in amazement, and invited into their home two missionaries with their message. I knew it was the true gospel, and I never could deny it. Often bore her testimony in years that followed. She and her three oldest girls, along with 16 other converts, were baptized the 5th of October, 1837. So this is like the conversion of both sides of my family. Like, you got one that was converted in, I think, the 39s and one that was converted in the 37s. Hence, from the Journal of Erastus Snow, we learn that he often traveled alone, but from time to time would team up with and others. In addition, we learned that while elders were working together on 5th October, when the family were baptized into the church, Erastus was laboring in the vicinity of Leadersburg, Maryland. Okay, so yeah, so that's kind of the conversion of the family. Okay, so a second child, a daughter, was born to John and Susanna in Nauvoo in 1843, June 29th, whom named presumably after. Okay, so here it is. While yet at Nauvoo, another son was born 16th June 1845, whom they named Thomas, following the martyrdom of Joseph and Hiram. Realizing they would soon have to leave their homes and seek another somewhere in the West, far beyond the reach of mobs and their persecutors, the saints began to gather provisions, build wagons, acquire teams, and other means for making the journey. Meanwhile, they were hurrying to complete the temple where they might receive the holy ordinances for which purpose it was being built. The family left Nauvoo in midwinter of 1846, along with others. Many crossed the ice of Mississippi, being forced to flee with scant protection against the elements. Crimson was the trail, and some 20,000 homeless souls turned their faces westward into the trackless wilderness. The older children of John and Susanna remembered these grim days, but never tired of hearing of the prophet Joseph and Hiram and what good and great men they were. The memory of their death was a stark reminder of the hardships endured in those days. Following the martyrdom of Joseph, the people assembled to discuss the matter of future church leadership. So this is their son. John and Susanna were there according to a statement of their son. So their son, John, they afterward told their children that when Brigham Young arose and began to speak, many of the people thought it was Joseph, for he looked and talked like the prophet Joseph. This was a manifestation to many that Brigham Young was to be the successor to the prophet Joseph Smith. After leaving Nauvoo, the family settled for a time in Lee County, Iowa, where another son was born to them in 1847. This son and moved to Pottawatomie County, Iowa. My father had a farm of 160 acres, which he bought from a man by the name of Warren North, about 1.5 miles east of Council Bluff City. And so this is the story of my family. They stopped in Iowa for a couple of decades and then moved on, and eventually I think I remember saying 1855 reached the Salt Lake Valley, where the Saints had been for over 10 years, or almost 10 years, and started building. And they came out here and they built their own town right outside all these mills, the Benson mills and stuff. And so I should take my burrito camera and go out there and show you guys. And so I remember when my great grandma passed away in 92, and it was heartbreaking. And I had a dream about her, and she really wasn't gone. She was gone, but not gone, is what she showed me in my dream. And I, at the time, only being like 11, 12 years old, wasn't deep in the church. I did get baptized at 8, but like I said, my parents were kind of Jack Mormon, so I didn't have very strong faith. But I knew that my grandma was, my great grandma. And she came to me in a dream and told me that she was gone but not gone. And I kept asking her, well, how can that be? How can you be gone? It's like we're at your funeral, you're right there, but you're right here next to me. And I was in my dream, I'm looking at her. And this is the day I was in Utah and she passed away in Washington, so I never went to her funeral, by the way. So this isn't like me remembering the funeral later, because I didn't go to her funeral. I don't even know if she was buried or cremated or what. She's buried in her temple clothes. I don't know. She did live with her granddaughter who was LDS, so I don't know if she honored that or not. But I had this dream that there she was in her casket, but not, because she was beside me. And I asked her, how can that be? And so this is one of the things that kind of fuels my faith is, I think she purposely came to tell me that death isn't the end, families are forever. She's still here for me. I was out of my parents' 5 kids, I was the one that was closest to her. Everybody else wanted to go play and run around and blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to sit next to her whether we talked or not, or I just wanted to just be next to her. And so it does, I mean, I still have the choice to believe or not to believe. But I have seen things that I can't deny, and I have been in a non-LDS marriage, and I am currently in an LDS marriage. And so I have experienced a good amount of life. And seen things that, and then to read these and to say these are not just words in a book. These come from the journals and the diaries of my ancestors. Now, I don't know why my family was part of practicing polygamy. They did. But it doesn't bother me. It bothers a lot of people sometimes. What was done then, and it's not done now. I wouldn't want to practice it. I side with Emma on that one. You go, Emma. Just kidding. And it's crazy how it really upsets the Exmos when we either don't deny it or we deny it. We don't deny it and we approve of it, or we deny it. I know that I'm reading a book that's written by Joseph Smith's great-great-great-granddaughter. And in the book, they talk about how Emma and everybody denied it. And so did Joseph Smith III, who took over. He didn't create the Church of the Reorgs, but he took it over because they had a fight about the guy who created it. They fought about that, actually. Joseph Smith III said, no, my father did not practice polygamy. The answer to that, in a way, is, did he seal people to him in the temple? Yes. Did he live in a house with multiple wives? No. Did he only live with Emma? Yes. Did he only treat Emma as his only wife? Yes. Did he seal people together in the temple? Yes. I believe that God sorts things out later. Those people got their temple ordinances done faithfully, and later on they can change the sealing. I'm sure Joseph Smith is only, this is probably piss a lot of people off for me to say this, but I believe that Joseph Smith right now is only sealed to Emma. He only has one wife in heaven right now, and that's Emma. And all the other 30, 32 wives, whoever they are, whatever, have their own spouses and are sealed to their own spouses, and they are happy, and they have their own spouses and their own children. And that's that. Because everything's sorted out in heaven. And they are still doing their work up there. And we take things with our earthly mind a lot. We think about things the way they are in this 21st century. How we do things in this 21st century. Not how they did things in the 19th century. In their time, 200 years ago, was a very different world than it is today. Very different world. And this is why journaling is important. because the world that this was back then, it's very few people documented it, but it's documented. And it's documented in my own family's words and beliefs. And so, as for my mom she got the polygamist wrong, who was the polygamist in the family, because one of the things I'm thankful for this book is after it came about, and I hate that they cut the story off right here. Nevertheless, hardships was no stranger to either of them. They knew how to make the best of things and had a happy life and a large and enjoyable family. The complete life story of Bob and Aretha is indeed both interesting and inspiring. They took great pride in their family, and Aretha tried to do her part both in the church and in a civic capacity. She was always active in the LDS church, and she and Bob were always helpful to others. And so right here it says that they led an interesting and inspiring life. Yet I know nothing about them. I'm like, okay, so this talks about her. This page is about her growing up, but nothing much after she married my grandfather. And what's kind of funny is there's a story that talks about, I guess they called him Bob. I don't know why they called him Bob, because his name was nowhere near the name of Bob. But whatever. We'll call him Bob. I have no idea. Oh no, it's not him. It's her father. Her father was having problems on his farm, and some people came over and said, "We'll come help you on Sunday." And I think there was something about they were praying for rain and everything and stuff. And he said, "We don't work on Sundays." He said, "I'll see you." He said something about like, "I'll see you on Monday. And if we don't work on Sunday." See, he's a talented singer. I'm not a singer. I'm so jealous. I'm just kidding. I'm trying to see if I can find the story real quick. I think it might be right here. Let's see, because he served faithfully at, let's see. Never tired of telling his children of the many blessings God has in store for those who work to merit them. He was a very strict follower of the word of wisdom and wished his children to follow him. He was willing to defend a family member when in the right, but was deeply hurt when one did wrong. He was a talented singer and was often called to sing on many special occasions and to direct the singing in church meetings. He served as Sunday school superintendent in most communities where he lived. He was a man of strong faith, as the following incident illustrates. When the wheat was mature and ready to harvest in the city that I'm sitting in, the wind blew and much grain was lost. The owner of the field approached the men about working to harvest the crop on the next Sunday. All consented except Orville. He told the owner if he would not require the men to work on the Sabbath, and if he would go to Sunday school, the wind would not blow that Sunday. It was finally agreed to try it. Sunday, indeed, it was calm, as Orville had promised. This wonderful pioneer couple left an honorable posterity who can be most grateful for their example in love, patience, faith, and hard work, particularly in the face of great obstacles and hardships. Their example is worthy of emulation, not by their descendants alone, but by all familiar with their life. So basically, they walked with virtue and honor and great in the eyes of many, and tremendous faith to say, if we don't work on Sunday, the crops will be fine. Because most people, yeah, they panic and they're like, we got to do this, we got to do this, and don't care that it's Sunday. And he said, the Lord will provide. And he did. And so these are some of the great, honorable, wonderful, inspiring stories. We only got to touch those stories here. And they are great. The small touch that we have are great. I wish there were more. So, yep. Anyways, I just kind of like, oh, she looks kind of like my grandma for a second, huh? But yeah. And there's my great grandma again right there at the very end. I've met this person and I think this person a long time ago. They lived in like Oregon, and so it was really hard for me to get to know a lot of my ancestors. And the first time I saw his photo, which was this photo, but it was large, like it was like large on the wall. I walked in their dining room, and all of a sudden, there's a picture of my great great grandfather who I've never seen before, and it's just this massive, massive photo, and it just kind of stopped me in my tracks, and I was just standing there going, "Wow." It's like I had no idea what he looked like. I knew nothing about my family, and I had no idea I was standing in front of the photo of a great pioneer. I had no idea. I wish there were so many more stories. I wish I knew who to call to get more stories. I wish I knew. I've heard this name before. My mom said this name before, and I didn't know where it came from until now. I'm like, oh, because I met him before. My mom kept saying his name as I was growing up, and I'm like, well, who are you talking about? Well, now I know. So he was born in, it says he was born in 1935 in Parks, Arizona, but doesn't have a death date for him. I don't know if he's still alive or not. And so, yeah. So it's Agnes's husband, I think. Yeah, they got married, and that's how it is. So it's Agnes's. So it's my grandma Perry's sister's family line. So that's how we get that name. Yeah, I mean, there's so many more things I learn every time I open this book, but I thought I'd share it with you guys. And at, at the beginning of my, you know, I have this Wife Like Emma Smith podcast, but I also am doing a separate one on another YouTube channel because um the algorithm. I'm trying to get the algorithm straight, but that ain't going well because now my videos aren't going anywhere. So, uh, I need to put up all my stuff in one area, my Discord, my X, my YouTube, my Twitch, everything, so people can find me on any channel that I'm on, whether I'm gaming, talking. I still, well, and the wife like Emma Smith is still kind of in the crime community, and I still want to kind of, but like right now, like I said, the Gypsy Rose community is just like right now where they're at, thinking they're busting out all this new information is stuff I made videos about a year ago. And so I'm kind of bored in the community going, okay, you guys are currently where I was at a year ago. So it's like, whatever, you guys, like, you guys are where I was at a year ago. So it's kind of boring going, you guys are finally catching up. This isn't news. I already told you guys she's jealous of her sister. And her and her stepmom don't get along. And that's a fake relationship they were putting on. And I'm sitting here going, this is not new news, guys. They're only putting up with money. Money drives people. Money, 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 money. So, anyways, I don't know. I'll be here and there. So, I do have a channel that is just dedicated to religious stuff. Where, because like I said, wife like Emma Smith is now I do talk religious stuff on this channel, but it is I still have friends and stuff that are in the crime community, and I still like talking crime and stuff. That is still my specialty. I need to get back to doing more. Not I need to step away from the Gypsy Rose and just do other crime videos. I need to get back into diving into crime, and like Lori Daybell crosses the line between LDS and crime, because you have all these LDS people committing these crazy crimes in the name of our religion, making us look bad. And Ruby Frankie, who is making us LDS family podcasters look really bad, and she's here in Utah too. Maybe I should go out to the prison. Which one is she at? Is the new prison up and running here in? Because there's the prison down in Draper. Oh, let me look up Utah State. I don't think we have a male and females prison. I think it's just one prison, and UDC corrections. I knew a few years ago they were voting on where to put a prison in Utah. And everybody was like, don't do it in our neighborhood. Don't do it in our neighborhood. And it's like, why, you guys? Because where the prison sits in Draper right now, did you know that that is a very wealthy part of Utah, and there's not much crime out there? And they think that a prison is going to bring crime to their neighborhood. And it's actually like, no, people are going to be like deterred from your neighborhood because prisons bring cops. So let's see, Utah State Correctional Facility. There's the one in 80th West and 1480 North. Then there's the one on Minuteman. There's Draper, Draper. And then Provo. I'm trying to see if, okay, Utah State Correctional Facility. Okay, so that's the one that should be on 7200 West, right? Let me see, 72. Okay, 80th West, so close to 72. Because I know that they finally settled and voted on building the prison on 7200 West off of I-80, where it's just swampland out there and there's nothing out there. Okay, so 7200. How do they get out there? Because there's the exit, the free. It's like, how do they get out there? Because there's the freeway exit, but there's no road. Okay, what does this say? West Branch, Brighton Canal. So yeah, there's a canal between the freeway and the prison. So how do you get off it? Salt Air? Or do you get off at 56 and drive out there? Like, this is so not convenient. But I guess they do have the correctional facility out there running. Utah State Correctional Facility, 1480 North. 80. So this is like 60 blocks west of where my parents used to live exactly. Like, if you draw a straight line, it's where I grew up for 20 years. Like, 60 blocks that way. Orange Street Community, Utah Department of Corrections. So, Utah State Correctional Facility. I wonder what this is. Directions to here. Let's see how would I even drive out there? I don't know what facility she is. Is she in Draper? Or is she at this new facility? I thought the new facility was supposed to be a prison. Or is it just a standard jail? Or is it both? It just says correctional facility. So I guess it is up and running. Okay, let's see. In Utah inmate search. We can do an inmate search, actually. That'll solve it. Offender search, UDC corrections, first name, last name. I think I'm spelling it right. Okay, let's see. Ruby Frankie, offender number, date of birth. Okay, so she is like, 6 months younger than me. A year older than my sister, 6 months younger than me. USFCD housing, Utah State Correctional Facility. Where's the is there a Utah State Correctional Facility? Okay, Utah State Correctional Facility. Okay, so she is housed in that one. Okay, so she is housed in the new one. Because I looked up Utah State Correctional Facility. Let's see. What's the one in Draper called? Draper is called Utah Department of Corrections. Utah State Correctional Facility. So she is in the new one that is like 20 minutes away from me. So it's like a 20-25 minute drive, like, or less. So her correctional facility is not very far from where I'm at. So, yeah. Not a far drive, actually, to go see her. She's making us look so bad. I have not been out. Oh, Utah State Prison. A look inside Utah's new. Should we look at that? You guys want to look at the new prison where Ruby Frankie is housed? This is the new prison where Ruby Frankie is housed. Okay, hold on. For some reason, share this tab and say. Okay, here we go.
Cost $1 billion, and since it opened in July, administrators have struggled to hire staff and keep workers and inmates safe. Fox 13 News investigative reporter Nate Carlisle has been reporting on problems at the prison. He was among the journalists who received a tour today.
Once we walked through this door, we were inside the Utah State Correctional Facility, better known as the new Salt.
Okay, so better known as the new one. This one was built in the last few years, like This is the one that everybody's like, no, don't build it in my neighborhood. So we built it way out here in swampland. So the airport is right over there. Like that way, I think. I got to figure out which way is north. If that way is north, then the airport is directly west of the prison. So like you get to the prison before the airport, or if you're at the airport, you drive east to the prison. And it's only a few minutes east of the airport. So there's nothing out here because it's swamp. Like Utah is still a lot of swampland. And there's a reason why the pioneers settled in Utah, because nobody else wanted to try and grow stuff out here. But there's this big plot of land that's north between the airport and Saltaire, the Great Salt Lake, that has nothing on it. Boeing's out here.
Salt Lake City Prison.
This is the main yard for the main geriatric.
Wow, 2,400
Administrators allowed
inmates.
us inside.
The next building over will be Antelope, and behind these two buildings are our 4 barracks.
Yeah, see, he's when he says Antelope, he's talking north. Is Antelope Island. North is Antelope.
General population areas.
To discuss some of the challenges they're dealing with. 3 corrections officers were assaulted over a 2.5-week stretch beginning in late January.
In every case, there have been action items that we could take to mitigate that from happening in the future.
Department of Corrections Director Brian Nielsen said cameras have been added and some other changes have been made to reduce the opportunities for assaults. But the biggest safety improvement would be more corrections officers, the preferred term for guards.
There's been such a competitive marketplace for certified staff in the state of Utah, and until we address the shortage of public safety officers across the board, that's going to be an issue.
Our tour took us to Antelope, the maximum security building for men. There's 2.
Okay, so that's not talking about, but so they named it after Antelope, which is an island here in Utah called Antelope Island. Never been there. Should go there.
Corrections officers monitoring the inmates.
So Antelope is the men's side.
This housing unit. The officers are also supposed to be monitoring the inmates on this side because the prison doesn't have enough staff to keep officers on both sides at all times. One officer is actually a parole agent based 300 miles away in St. George.
Oh, what?
The corrections department has pulled her off the street and has personnel from across Utah working shifts at the prison.
St. George is actually 5 hours away, not 3, by the way. It's 5.
Being on mandatory overtime puts more stress on the system.
The prison actually has 3 housing units that aren't open because there aren't enough officers to staff them. That means the inmates are packed tighter together than they would be otherwise. With more funding from the legislature, corrections have been raising pay to entice recruits. Director Nielsen says the new prison still needs at least 135 additional corrections officers, about half as many as it has right now.
So if you don't have a job and you're big and tough, go get it. Go be a correctional officer.
New prison in Salt Lake City, Nate Carlisle, Fox 13 News, Utah.
So if you need a job here in Utah, now you know what kind of job to go get. When was this video made? 2023. So 2 years ago. They probably did this piece to get people to go get a job there. So that's a lot of prisoners, 2,400. It's I can't believe that. Well, I mean, I guess when you have millions of people living in a city, let's see, let's look at Salt Lake City population as a 2025. Only 215,000 has located 215. The county seat of. Well, maybe that's just Salt Lake. Okay, so that's not Salt Lake. Well, let's look at the county, not the city, the county. County. Okay, 1 million. So, okay, there we go. So that's a different number. Okay, so 1,184,000. So that 184,000 plus an additional 20,000 more people live in Salt Lake, and 1 million people, just under 1 million people live in the surrounding suburbs of Salt Lake, like West Valley, Draper, all of that. So there's a total of 1 million people right here in Salt Lake County. So yeah, when you have 1 million people, 2,400 being locked up really doesn't seem like that big of a number, really. It's a small portion of the number of people locked up, so it's actually not bad. So, anyways, I have been taking a break from streaming, and so I'm coming back, and I took a few months break. I needed to rethink my life. I needed to reshape my life. I needed to do a lot of different things, but wow. Anyways, don't look at X. I need to put up everywhere you can find me though. Basically, yeah. I'm on X a lot. I'm on my Discord a lot. I'm on YouTube a little bit and stuff like that. And so, yeah, you can find me around. But I hope this kind of was fun, looking through my family history with me and talking about where my family comes from, where we got converted, where things went, and the family I am proud to be part of. I'm part of all of my heritage. This part of my heritage is LDS Mormon, and then there's another part of my heritage. Maybe we'll go over it another day. I need help with that part because we are refugees that don't even know our real last name. I'm only third generation here in America. There's other people who've been in America longer than my family on my mom's side. On my dad's side, well, we've been here for a while. But I also, like I said, every time I open up that book, I see something new. I didn't know about that dream she had because I read it in, what book? What, Saints? I read it in I think the Saints book where they go to England, and the first thing they see is that sign that says truth will prevail. And they're like, yes, truth will prevail. They're like, we're here. Truth is prevailing. Yay, we're missionaries. We're here. Yay, go truth. And then she had a dream about that. And so the Lord's message of the truth will prevail is everywhere, which is kind of funny because when you spread lies on the internet, truth will prevail, by the way, people, because there are current Exmo. I made a video about that. I've been making videos about Exmos lately that are out here spreading lies about themselves, the church, and everything. And truth will prevail, guys, because when you sit on the internet and you lie, people find out. People find out. But I guess I'm going to go game a little bit. So if you want to head over to my Twitch, I'm going to go game on Twitch for a minute. And then go downstairs and spend some time with my husband, read some books, clean the house, cook a little bit, do my trad wife stuff, you know. Do my standard trad wife stuff. And hey, if I feel like it, I'll turn on the camera. Just kidding. I need to make, I haven't made a video in months on TikTok. I need to do TikTok. I need to get a tripod for this. I need a tripod for my phone. I need a tripod that'll hook my phone in. I got a tripod for my camera that, because I don't use my onboard computer camera because, oh my gosh, if I were to use my onboard one, like here, I'll show you. This is my onboard camera. It's so grainy. Wonder what this camera is. So yeah, you can see the graininess that it is. My husband's an IT guy, and so luckily his work had provided him with a camera that he didn't need because he doesn't like to be on camera at work unless he has to be. So, oh yeah, we gotta go to the dentist today too. So in a few hours, I gotta head off to the dentist with my husband. So Maybe I'll stream from the dental office. I don't know. Just kidding. Who knows? Just keep watching. I have a phone with me. I can stream anywhere. And I got my burrito camera going. Yeah. I need to start. I have some film of my dad before he passed away making popcorn balls and stuff with the kids that I still need to put on my stream. I just need to figure out how to get it off the camera. I don't know how to do it. Thank you.